Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, brothers in arms, World of Warships, and in today's video, we're going to take a look at a monster damage game that I had in the Henri IV, the Tier 10 French heavy cruiser, on my EU account. I'm playing with my TWA friends Nagi and Brandis, and they're playing in the Audacious and the Minotaur respectively, and we're playing some domination here on the map, Two Brothers. So with the upcoming King of the Seas 8 tournament in just a few weeks on the EU server, I have taken my talents over to TWA, and that's who I'm going to be playing for. So, of course, I've needed to grind out a few ship lines. You guys saw me a couple months ago. I put up some Japanese heavy cruiser gameplay as I got to the Zhao, and now I have the Henri on this account, and boy, oh boy, is this thing an absolute blast to play in today's meta. This ship is the epitome, really, of the long-range HE spammer. Amongst the high-tier cruisers, you have the speed boost and the reload booster to be able to get into positions quickly and to be able to punish enemy ships heavily, respectively. And then, of course, this thing is very fast. You have very good range, even with main battery mod 3 at 19.1 kilometers. But the most important thing is that you can put IFHE on this thing and get well over 50 millimeters of HE pen. So ships like Moskva, Stalingrad, the middle portions of American battleships are unable to hold up to your HE spam, and it makes this ship incredibly good at dealing damage, and then in the competitive / King of the Sea arena, it's able to deal with bow-in ships very, very easily. It's basically taken over the role of the Hindenburg on a one-to-one basis. But in random battles, of course, which is the replay today that you are watching, you can do some absolutely nasty stuff with this ship. So Nagi's going to go get onto the decap as I get my first salvo downrange at that enemy Monarch. And you can see that Brandis has his planes that are out in front. He dropped a fighter aircraft just to the south of the decap, who is now spotting the bulk of the enemy team. There's a very large amount of their surface ships over there, including a lot of battleships, a couple cruisers, and one Fletcher destroyer. So we're in a perfect position to start damage farming. You can see that Nagi's going to get just inside the cap, and he is running the smoke minnow, so he is going to smoke up, and any second now I will get undetected because he helped me break line of sight, and that's exactly what happens. And this position that the Henri is in, this is the one that you really want to be in as much as you can. In a kiting position with your speed boost ready to go, and basically just playing with the throttle, moving back and forth, and focusing down a target into oblivion. Now, if you've noticed, I do not have priority target, nor do I have incoming fire alert on this guy. And it's not to prove a point or anything. I'm just at a 16-point captain, and I really wanted to get IFHE along with concealment expert on this dude, so I just need to grind out the last couple of points so that I can put one of those two perks on. So throughout the course of this game, I'm going to have to rely on my game sense to be able to tell when enemy shells are going to be coming down range at me. Now this Monarch makes a horrible play, and he decided to turn back in towards the D objective. And I'm not 100% sure why this guy did that. You can see Brandis is taking his next set of rocket planes towards him. And you can see that that Monarch got hit very hard by my reload booster. It's a very quick reload, too, as well. Just a little bit over a minute to get your next one back. So, although I didn't get a fire with the reload booster, that Monarch lost quite a bit of hit points, and now he is absolutely screwed. There's no way he's going to be able to get away. But an even more juicy target now appears. You can see that there are torpedoes heading downrange at the Republique, and that guy is going to be eating a few of them, and for sure he is going to have to use his damage control. So I immediately switched to that French battleship, and now I'm going to let him have it. And he's only at 16.8 kilometers as Nagi manages the first kill. This kind of range, the longer range shooting, you really need to be accurate, and you're going to see here very good salvo after salvo goes down range at the Republique. The first one, 5,600, the second one, 5,600, and now I aim up really high because, of course, I'm trying to shoot at the target that is running away from me, and yet another beastly salvo of over 4,000 damage, and I get the fire on that guy, which is great. And then, obviously, I'm going to keep focusing him. It looks like he's shooting at me, so of course I'm going to turn him to the right. And as the next salvo falls in, another 4,300 damage and another fire set on that guy. You can see that this IFHE is just ridiculous. That Republic is literally incapable of angling away from these shells. They hit so hard and do so much damage. And if you've lost track of the damage counter, we're not even 5 minutes in, and I'm already over 80,000 damage with 2 fires ticking on that French battleship. So, of course, I'm now going to start farming down the next guy here. And this is a perfect situation. These enemy ships are close enough where I'm able to get good, accurate shells in, but they're not far enough away where they're out of range, and I have permanent spotting with the help of friendly destroyers that are out in front, like the Chungmu, and then the occasional aircraft support from Mr. Brandis. So this is an absolutely perfect situation to be in, and we're just trying to deal as much damage as we can. I switched back to the high explosive after I tried to get a cheeky salvo of AP off at the Edinburgh, and I'm just going to try to let this Yamato have it. Now you can see I'm slowing down. I do have my next speed boost ready to go in a couple seconds, so I will be able to speed up, and again, just playing with the rudder, playing with the speed, making it very, very difficult to predict what my next move is going to be. And that's one of the things that you need to learn if you're going to get good at dodging salvos in cruisers. You need to be very, very unpredictable. I do manage to get another fire there on the Yamato for my 8th fire of the game already, which is pretty incredible. And that guy is also becoming the focus of Brandis's torpedo bombers. So he's in a very bad situation. Of course, he is not using his repair yet because he needs to, excuse me, he needs to see if he's going to get flooded by these torpedoes before he decides to use them. One quick note, since this video has come out, obviously yesterday when the patch hit, the flooding mechanics are being changed. As we all know, the flooding will last a lot less longer than it used to, and I don't necessarily agree with it, and I don't remember if Puddin talked about it in his carrier video the other day, but it's something that I definitely do not agree with, and it's going to make getting fires all the more important to be able to kill off enemy ships. Now that Yamato, it appears, did use his damage control. I misused one of my reload boosters trying to see if I could get some shots on that enemy Republique who was running away, but unfortunately that's not the case. However, very fortunately for me, 2 salvos out of 3 on the Yamato land 2 fires, and now that guy is beached and he has 2 fires raging on his ship, so he's in a very bad situation. And not even 7 minutes into the game, I already pick up the Witherer at about 140,000 points of damage, and there is still so much more that needs to be done. And once again, if you look at the shell counter, so many penetrations, as long as you're hitting virtually every place of the Yamato, and you're just getting damage all over the place. That Republique is down to 17,000 HP. He got completely pushed away. The Yamato got completely pushed away. The enemy Edinburgh is coming back for whatever reason, but he is going to be dying here shortly. The, what was it, the Monarch died. I mean, literally all of those battleships just got pushed away, and there was really nothing that they were able to do about it. Good spotting, again, like I mentioned, and good shooting on my part. Some other guys getting damage as well. They just stood no chance as they got pushed away from the decapture point very, very hard. Now, we're going to try to run down this enemy Edinburgh. This is really the last obstacle before we're going to be able to get over towards the sea cap. There is a friendly Minotaur over there on it already, but, you know, there's always somebody. Again, like my kid video, there's always somebody that thinks that they're flambass, and they want to go down the middle, and obviously that guy is not going to be long for this world because you don't run into battleships like that and expect to get away with it. I'm trying to blind fire into the smoke before the Edinburgh does eventually get detected. I don't know if the Chungmu used radar or not. Not 100% sure. But either way, that Edinburgh is absolutely screwed, and Nagahide manages to secure the kill on that dude. So I'm sitting at 166,000 points of damage, and this game is looking pretty okay for us. It's 692 to 349. The enemy team has lost 5 ships compared to our 3. However, they are taking control of the A capture point in that side of the map, and they do have a lot of their ships balled up in that one little sector. So the game is certainly not over. We are at over 700 points now, but if ships start getting themselves killed on our team, like that friendly Ibuki did, and our friendlies on the western side of the map start to get taken care of, well, then it's going to bring the scores back and make this a lot more difficult. I'm trying to get some shots downrange at the enemy Republique, but I see that the Zhao is virtually at a standstill at about 14.5 kilometers, so Nagi and I both switch our focus over to that dude, and he is going to eat some massive HE damage once again. The first salvo doing 1,100, and I set a fire on that guy, which is nice. And then the next salvo that goes downrange, I think this one is going to do a pretty decent bit on the backside of the superstructure. About 2,000 damage. Somebody else hits him pretty hard. But again, you just cannot angle from these shells. Once more, however, I mismanaged my reload booster. I was expecting that enemy Republique to stay detected, and he does go undetected for about 5 seconds, but when it comes back up already, I've lost 1 salvo off of the reload booster because, well, I had to wait for him to re-render again. And this is kind of just the instinctual thing that I got to get used to with these carriers. You know, it's easy to think that spotting is going to be all over the place, at least it was with the old carriers. Now, certainly you can spot a lot with the new ones, but it's not nearly as, I guess, crazy as it used to be, where you had squadrons flying around all over the place. Either way, this Republic is absolutely screwed. He's at about 10,000 hit points, but there's no way he's going to be able to get away from me, as I'm about ready to crack the 200,000 damage barrier. Another big meaty hit of over 4,000 damage right into the side. That HE performance once again just showing its true colors. And the next salvo that falls in, I managed to pick up the Arsonist as I kill off that tier 10 French battleship. I'm up to 208,000 points of damage. However, the enemy team has actually brought the scores back a little bit. We've now lost 5 ships compared to their 6, and the enemy team is now completely overrunning the western side of the map, and there's really nobody back to help out our carrier, save for that one Bismarck, who's now going to be moving into the B objective area. So definitely do not throw yourself away right here. You got to keep it up, got to keep dealing damage. This Bourgogne, for some reason, decided to turn back around and is now charging me. However, he's not paying attention to me. His shells and his focus is elsewhere, it appears, on our ships that are moving into the sea capture point. You can see that he's down to about 40,000 hit points, and I am closing the distance because, of course, if I do get close enough, I can use the torpedoes. I pick up the high caliber as I go over 230,000 points of damage, and now I believe it's at this moment that the Bourgogne actually realizes the situation that he's in. I try to swing my guns to the right to get some cheeky AP damage there on the Moskva, but unfortunately, he did not stick his nose far enough out, and for the 3rd time in this game, actually, I've wasted a reload booster. However, I am able to get off a couple of AP salvos before this Bourgogne gets angled up. The first one did about 6,000 points of damage, and then the next one's going to fly into the superstructure area and do another pretty big meaty chunk of about 6,000 as well. However, because he's angled away, I now have to switch to the high explosive, but again, that's a-okay. It's going to penetrate virtually every single part of that guy's ship and do a lot of damage. However, I do need to be careful to the Moskva to the right. I cannot afford to turn back to the left too much, because if that Moskva peeks his nose around the corner again, well, unfortunately, I will be providing a broadside. However, I know that he's close enough to that island where he is going to have to stick his neck out to actually be able to get shots at me, because his gun arcs, his shell arcs, I should say, are so fast that at that position, he's not able to shoot me right now. So I decide, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to open up a little bit and just continue to pelt this guy. I look over to the Moskva just to see what he's doing. I want to get my rear turret into play, but I'm also unsure if that Bourgogne is going to use his reload booster for just his single rear turret, so I decide better of it and angle back in. I get yet another fire on him as he puts some funny stuff in chat. Indeed, I am chasing after you. Another salvo goes into the stern, 5 pens. He's down to 47 hit points, and the guy burns out. And now I'm switching my focus here to the Moskva, waiting for the front turrets to get reloaded. The Chungmu is shooting at him, so maybe he'll get the kill, maybe it will be me. The shells fall in, the Chungmu manages to secure it before I do. I'm up to 280,000 points of damage, and now there's only 3 ships left. A lot of attrition has happened in the past couple of minutes. There's a Kurfürst, and there's the Midway that just dive-bombed me for 6,300, and then there's the Chungmu, my buddy Brandis in the carrier, and myself. However, you can see the last reported position of that Midway as he just gets on the minimap now. He's just off to my northwest. So I'm going to try to chase this guy down. However, one big thing here with this carrier changes and the rework and all the mini patches that have hit, well, unfortunately, fires only go for 5 seconds. And when you get a fire or a flood initially, it immediately gets put out. So if you do get a second one, it only lasts for 5 seconds, and I believe the flooding only lasts for 10 to 15 seconds. So this Midway is going to be very, very difficult to kill off, because I can't just light fires all over the place on his deck and superstructure and just farm damage out, which I would be able to right now if RNG hooked me up with some fires. So I have to aim at the side of the hull, and this is kind of a difficult shot. I would definitely say at this medium range with him moving away, you got to be very precise, because if any of the shells hit the deck, well, you can see 6 non-penetrations out of 8 shells that landed on that carrier. And you can also see that there are going to be incessant waves of enemy aircraft coming at me, so I am certainly not out of the woods yet. And I have to be very, very careful here as he gets ready for his next strike of torpedo planes. He comes in for the drop. I obviously turn into them, trying to dodge these torpedoes, so I obviously cannot shoot at the carrier at the moment, but he is undetected, so that's a moot point. I do not have my defensive fire ready to go. I'm now turning back into the right as the torpedo bombers are coming in from my stern now. And he is going to be able to get this drop off at about 1 kilometer, which is very, very close. However, well, the Henri is pretty fast, and yeah, I'm actually going to outrun these torpedoes. This is no longer a thing completely singular to the Soviet destroyers. An Henri going forward in a straight line is capable of outrunning midway torpedo bombers. And, well, the torpedoes, of course. And I just kind of find that funny. It looks a little ridiculous, to be honest. Anyway, switching the focus back to the midway. Unfortunately, again, so many non-pens because they're hitting the deck. I'm trying to hit the side of the hull, and when I do that, like right there, you are able to get some decent pens for about 3,300. I use my defensive AA for the second time, as he is just bringing in so many planes at me. There we go. That's the sweet spot, right into the side of the carrier. My defensive AA continues to go off as I'm now over 10 planes shot down, and I do get yet another fire, but like I said, it's only going to last for about 5 seconds, and then it goes out. So unfortunately, he's not going to burn out like they would back in the day. I'm up to 315,000 points of damage as I'm desperately trying to kill this guy before he eventually kills me. Because, let's be honest with ourselves, guys, a lot of the random battles these days does eventually just come down to the carriers because they deal so much damage and they kill off a lot of the ships, or they help kill off a lot, that they're genuinely and generally the last ships left alive at the end of the battle. So I'm only at 19,000 hit points, and those rockets absolutely hurt. The Henri does not have enough armor to be able to really shield itself from rocket attack, and if it does strafe you from stem to stern, you will take a lot of damage from those planes, rockets that is. So unfortunately, I don't have any reload boosters left because I used about 3 of them at very inopportune times earlier on in this game. So the carrier is still at 30,000 hit points, and if he doesn't give me a broadside, well, it's going to take me a very long time to get this kill. I do use my last heal, which will get me over 20,000 hit points, but I still have to wait another 20-some seconds for my next defensive AA to come up. And now, because he's running into the map border, I see that the midway has to turn a little bit to the right. Unfortunately, I have to turn back to the left to angle into the torpedoes, but it appears he's opened up just enough of a broadside for me to try and see if I'm going to be able to land a citadel on him, and I do manage to do that for 7,000 damage. Unfortunately, his torpedo armed just a split second before it hit my nose, so that's unfortunate, but somehow it didn't flood. And that's actually going to save my bacon here, because unfortunately, he lands 2 more torpedoes on me on the bow, but only 5,000 points of damage. He's now down to 8,000, and he is burning. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to finish off this kill before his next wave of planes do come back. There are dive bombers in, and I managed to finally secure the kill and end this game. Alrighty guys, taking a look at the post-battle results, 657,000 credits received, 37,400 total experience. This was obviously my first one of the day with a lot of flags. I picked up Witherer, Arsonist, Dreadnought, and High Caliber, dealing 351,000 points of damage off of 364 shell hits. I shot down 22 planes, sank 3 boats, had 23 fires, and 1 citadel. Taking a look at the team score, 3,470 base experience, easily tops on the team and in the game. Nagy came in second with 2314, and then Brandis with 1996. So a total of 6 ships out of 12 destroyed with the TWA div. The detailed report, well, this is where things get ridiculous. 215,000 damage with the main battery, another 133,000 damage dealt with the fires that I set, 80k on the République, 71k on the Bourgogne. The Midway took 71,000, the Yamato took 70,000, the Monarch took 44,000. This was the battleship farm of the century, at least for me. And I still took a decent amount of damage, and the potential was 1.7 million, which is not bad for cruisers. So, yeah, oh boy, this was insane. I hope you guys enjoyed this replay, certainly as much as I had enjoyed playing in it. And, you know, this is Henry gameplay taken to the max, so... Sneaky Snake here for BIA World of Warships signing off. As always, guys, thanks for watching, thanks for liking and subscribing and commenting on our videos. It's always great to interact with you all, and I will see you later.